Good morning, Brisbane people, you beautiful nerds catching up this morning. Just to start off, I'd just also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country, the Yagara and Terrible people, whose country we're meeting on today, and just pay my respects to our elders past and present, and also extend that respect to any First Nations people in the audience, and just acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded in this country. So, my name's Col Mcelwaine, aka Col Mac, depends what you really know me for. And I just want to say first up, thank you everyone for coming out this morning. I'm up this morning, like this early all the time because of this. This is my dog, Pero, and I wake up every morning with him about 2 inches from my face waiting to go for a walk. So this is literally how I wake up every day. He runs my life. It's tough, but you know, someone has to do it. But yeah, you're not here to talk about my dog. So I'm a designer and illustrator, but it's a little bit messier than that. But I'm really interested in the mess, and that's what I'm sort of here to talk about today. I'm interested in talking about that space in between, and what that sort of means for creative practice. Because I think that and does a lot of heavy lifting. So I'm just going to run through a little bit of my work just to explain that. So yeah, I do a lot of motion design, murals. Here's a mural with Craig Black in Glasgow. Lots of murals. I think there's some people here I've done some murals with today. This is Keisha Thompson's work. I did the motion design for that. It's goalie design. That's Sophie Beard. That's projected up there at the moment, so you should check it out. There's Marvel before, bit of Disney promo. Government stuff. Packaging, branding, more packaging. And of course, art and painting. And that's Pero again, told you, just keep an eye on me, making sure I work. I also want to bring to everyone's attention how ridiculous that pose is, but it's really what I do. I didn't do it for the camera. He also might have spotted some CreativeMornings work in there. That was for CreativeMornings Edinburgh. So it's really cool to be in Brisbane speaking today, because I love the other chapters I've been a part of, but Brisbane really is a great community and it's just so tight-knit and wonderful. So yeah, this is my and. This is the space in between that designer illustrator for me. And I could say all these things and why they're relevant in my practice, but it's a little bit easier just to say this. I'm interdisciplinary. And what does that mean? It's just so buzzy at the moment. Everyone sort of is multidisciplinary, it's interdisciplinary. It just sounds neat, but basically it just means I'm ideas-led. If I want to make a video, I make a video. If I think the best way to do it is an illustration, I do an illustration. If it's design, it's design. If it's painting, it's painting. But none of these things really stand alone. They all form this one big, wide practice. So I just really love this Steve McQueen quote. Steve McQueen, the filmmaker, not the movie star. It's all about ideas for me, and ideas ask for the form. So, basically just the form follows the concept. But anyway, that's enough of an intro. This is my theme, truth. And I know truth is a big subject, so yeah, I made it bigger. But that's what we're dealing with today. People have been trying for basically the better part of 2 millennia to sort out truth, and a bit of a spoiler, I didn't work it out. We're not going to work it out today. And I'm not going to talk about philosophers at 8 a.m. on a Friday. I'm not going to make anyone suffer through that. We're leaving David Hume on the shelf. We're moving forward. So instead of tackling it head on, I'm going to break it up with just 2 truths and 1 lie. And to start off, I wanted to have Ziwei introduce the complexity of truth here, talking to Charlemagne the God.
We really believe in multiverse, where if you pay too much attention to everything that's going on in this world about you, you'll realize that you're 10 different things to everybody.
Yes and no, because there are facts exist.
Sort of, kind of.
Oh God.
I just want to play that because first of all it's funny and Zero is the best, but we're supposed to be living in this weird post-truth era now, where everyone hates journalists and it's so cool to say it, and I think we can just all acknowledge that the truth's always being contested, and I'm not going to have that sort of talk today about what is truth, because the main thing is facts exist. We've all been Z-Way for the last couple of years, having to listen to people like Donald Trump and J.K. Rowling. We can just all accept that trans women are women, Captain Cook didn't discover Australia, and Jay-Z is the greatest rapper of all time. These are facts. I'm not here to debate reality today. We're going to talk about truth. And also I'm a bit biased because I'm in the facts business, baby. I'm an editorial illustrator. I'm on the side of the news. I really respect journalists, respect the news, and that's how I got into editorial illustration. This is Marie Colvin, who's my partner's hero. She passed away in a war zone, risking her life to tell the truth. And around this time, I made a stencil and got my friend Greg to put this up on a literal military base in Iraq to sort of pay homage to her, because I'm just that into news and illustration. It's just really my thing. But anyway, I'll start at the start. So this was probably my first bigger job that got me my first big commission, and that was Medium. That was like the blogging arm of Twitter, and that led to NBC, which was my first homepage, and then I got into the Financial Times, which was sort of after Trump just got elected, and so it was sort of everyone was madly sending journalists trying to find out what happened. And then, I was just trying to address that thing early on in my career of like, what is this more than one thing? How can something be both? It's not just a perspective, but more of a combination of ideas. We got shortlisted for an AOI for that one as well, a World Illustration Award, which I thought was like a really big deal at the time, just because I used to go past the building in London and get really excited, so that was great. Stuff for the big issue. This one's for New York Times, which was like another really exciting one for me. I was really proud to do. Got nominated for an AOI for that one as well, but didn't win. But whatever, I'm not bitter. It's fine. This one's for Penguin, Financial Times again. New York Times, Financial Times. Anyway, you get the idea. I do a lot of editorial illustration. That's sort of my main thing. Which brings me to my second truth, which is, that's my job, I have a job. It feels kind of dirty to say, I don't know why. I sometimes chat to artists and I think they think I'm not serious about art because I've got a job. And I chat to designers about being an artist and I think they just look at me like I'm just trying to escape the industry and just waiting for a break. But that's not true. I love working, I really take pride in being a worker. Also, design is my passion, or my prison, depending on the day. I think everyone can relate to that. And there's like a lot of reasons why I do work, but the main one is I have to live in a house. It's pretty accepted that you have to pay to do that, and jobs give you money, which is good. And I have to support him, of course. And by support him, that means not denying him anything material in this world, because he's worth it. The other thing as well is, I think if you don't work and you don't have like a creative outlet, I don't know if you can do both well. I make art and I do design, and if I didn't make art, I think I'd just have a little bit too much of an ego going into briefs. And if I didn't do design, I think my brain would atrophy a little bit. There's this really great Linda Nochlin quote. It says that the upper classes never formed a great artist. And if you don't believe that, I want you to please look at this. So this is Brooklyn Beckham, very famous Nepo baby. Everyone knows his parents. And this is his photo book, his art book. And I just want to have a look at these captions. So these are the titles of the artwork. Elephants in Kenya. So hard to photograph. but incredible to see. And that's the photo. Next one up is dinner. I like this picture. It's out of focus, but you can tell there's a lot going on. Anyway, I don't think enough is going on in Mr. Beckham's practice, and I think he should probably go dig a ditch and get some perspective on life, because these are terrible. But anyway, more positive. On a more positive note, I do some fun projects. I'm really lucky. I also do some stinkers. You know, I have to chase invoices a lot and sometimes work weekends, but that's showbiz. If showbiz is annual reports and email campaigns, if that counts. But this is a really fun one I worked on. This is Arnico Press. It's a short fiction and poetry magazine founded and edited by Julia Riches down south, down in Gadigal country. And it just sort of combines a lot of different things. It's got elements of editorial, elements of publishing, elements of design and branding. It's not narrative, it's not linear, it's sort of this fragmented thing. It's like literally a poetry magazine. But it really, I think, showcases a project that has that interdisciplinary approach. So yeah, I'm really proud of this one. I've art directed and designed and illustrated 3 issues now. And I think it's mostly sold out. I think the 4th one's coming. That's also the dumbest thing I've ever drawn. Yeah, it's a good, fun project. And there we are at semi-permanent. But yeah, it's also led to some really cool opportunities. Like, I probably got my biggest commission from this. That was the Washington Post. I got on the cover, which was really cool. I didn't think that would happen until a little bit later in my career. That's the cover. But yeah, here's where we get to like the down bit of the talk. You know, this is where I talk about failure and talk about things being tough. Because we're getting to the juicy bit, which is we've gone through the 2 truths, now we've hit the lie. I got this and I was like, all right, what now? Like, I've been on the cover of the Washington Post, that's really cool. What's next? Do I just go for like the New Yorker or something? But then what do I do after that? Like, how do I maintain this? How do I maintain the excitement? And I just thought at that time all that mattered was the work and getting the next job. And I think that is a lie we tell ourselves a lot of the time. I was just in the JPEG mines, just like hammering away every day. Like, I thought my work was like the most important thing, but it's not. Like, my stuff is the pictures for the important thing. And that's a really important thing to remember. So yeah, I just thought all this matters, which is just such a big lie to tell yourself. Artwork is work, but it shouldn't be all about work. So yeah, one day I just looked at my partner who's out here as well, and she's also a really talented artist and creative, and I said, like, let's just like make our own stuff. Let's just muck around, let's have fun. So Mucho was born. And what's Mucho? Well, Mucho's a lot. It's everything we couldn't fit into our careers. It's the stuff we wanted to do. Like, we want to have fun, we want to try out stuff creatively, and just follow ideas. And it, like, the main thing was, it just couldn't be for money. It just had to be ours. It was like, couldn't be corrupted. And it got pretty weird pretty quickly, as you can see. This was like the first, this is where we started. But we're also professionals, so we wanted to take having fun really seriously. So of course we needed uniforms when we worked. And we needed to be physically fit, so we went into the Highlands to train. Here we are. Here's Chloe looking for the next good idea. Very serious stuff, you know, very serious people. But we made some cool projects. And then COVID hit. Came back and I was in a job that was like fine. And I just wanted to explore this more, this thing that was like getting me excited. And I kept saying this to people. I was like, I want to do this more, like this Mucho stuff. And people looked at me like I was nuts. Like, I was like talking about leaving my career, and they're like, you want to throw away your career to dance around in a fucking paper head? Like, what are you talking about? But like, I just didn't have the language to articulate what I wanted to do, and that was to go back to uni, learn fine art, art history, and just do this properly. Take it seriously. because, you know, like, it was COVID, the world was falling apart, and I was making social media tiles. I realised nothing mattered, the work didn't matter. I just wanted to make what I wanted, just something to keep me excited. Oh, I should have been playing that when I was talking, but yeah. So, when I couldn't convince people, I realised I just stopped telling people about it. I just went out and did it. Had that anxiety that, you know, artists would like not take me seriously because I had this job, this whole like other side of my practice, and clients would just think I'm trying to get out of the industry and run for the hills. So I kept it private, and I just made up a guy. I didn't want to be in that either or space. I wanted to keep it completely separate. So I just started applying things under the name Col Mac. And I started exploring these projects in the same way I was before. But I just didn't share anything publicly for about 2 years. It was just what I did during COVID. This is what I did in my spare time. Until recently, where we put on our first show, which was exciting. And that was last month. And it was just like a bunch of really great artists, but also our friends that were just, I think a couple of people are here today. And yeah, it was a bit of a banger. I thought it was a good time. I enjoyed myself. There's Miranda Hine, Rihanna Phillips. And also just started putting my own stuff out there because I wanted to find out what people thought outside of my garage. You know, this couldn't just be for me and Pero. Yeah, there he is again. Yeah, so this was a fun one. This isn't a good example of something that was just driven purely from the desire to see it. This is just like a box of sunlight. I wanted to have a box of sunlight that I could hold in my hands, which is just like such a weird brief to give yourself that no one would ever ask me to do it, but I had to make it, so I just made it myself. And that led to this. This is really sped up because it's like a 9-minute video. I'm not actually sure how big this is. It's on the side of a cathedral. And it's just that same idea of, you know, exploring the sublime and sunlight on this like large scale and just trying to once again show that thing that this is something more, like something more than once at the same time. It was pretty cool though. It was like, the projector was the size of a room. It was in like a 3-story tower and it was a really cold night. And I was just up there just sort of like staying warm next to it. But that leads me to probably my most recent project. It's probably the biggest self-driven project I've done. The Ocean's Blanket Pull Between Sleepers. This one, I was driving along one day and I was listening to something on the car radio and I heard some guy say this sentence. So I pulled over and wrote it down. And immediately I had this idea in my mind's eye. It was like back to that Steve McQueen thing again. You know what the idea wants to be, what it wants to be. It wants to represent itself. And sometimes it wants to be a video. And this, in my mind, immediately was a video. I could see this thing, this like text getting pulled and pushed in the middle of the ocean, this like visual metaphor for connection. The problem was I didn't know how to do it. So once again, Greg from the guy at the top, he's good at welding. So I got him to weld me this big steel structure. And when I say it was big, this is like 16 foot high. I had to make it out of polycarbonate. Oh my god, I'm like nearly the same size. Anyway, so yeah, that's actually pretty close to scale. There we go. So I also didn't want to pay for it because it was really expensive. Polycarbonate's like the same stuff they make out of bulletproof glass. It was dear, but I really wanted it to be long lasting. So I pitched it to Swell Sculpture Festival on the Gold Coast and they partially funded it. Here's me performatively digging and using the backhoe to fill it in, and that's it finished. Big 16-foot text thing, real big vanity project. And there it is, but I was really happy with this, but it wasn't exactly what I had in my mind, so we had to push it a little bit further. And we had to sink it. We had to put it in the middle of the ocean, which I knew was going to be hard. So we got up, it was like 4 a.m, low tide. We went out and we put it on the sandbank and then we let the tide come in and just take it. That guy was having fun. We also got it back out of the ocean. We didn't leave it there. We're not those people. But yeah, this is it. This is it in the middle of the ocean. And it was just something we did for fun. And this is the video I had in my mind that, 6 months earlier, just in the car as I drove along and pulled over and wrote it down. And this is it. This is what I was talking about. This is my and, that space in between my practice. It's that combination of ideas that's just something that asks to be made, so you do it. It's not either or, it's something entirely different, and it's something that sort of like feeds into a big, wide practice and maybe says something that could be true. So yeah, just to wrap up, first of all, facts exist. Artwork is work. It's totally fine to have a job. We don't need to keep it secret anymore. And nothing really matters. So just have fun. Embrace that space in between your practice and what people expect of you. If you want to go home today and just do an illustration, do an illustration. Don't get hung up on it. You don't even have to show anybody about it. Show it. A painting, a video, do whatever. Just go start a dance class. Whatever's going to get you excited and just feed into that practice and keep you excited. And if people aren't on board, you can always just start a new life under an assumed name, hidden under a big paper head, and just go from there, because that's what sort of worked for me. Anyway, thank you.